Today we're going to be doing something a bit different than we normally do. We're going to look at one-hand folding models. I've long resisted this concept as important to stroller design, and as a repairman, my general feeling is that the added complexity created by this feature is not worth the potential malfunctions that are usually very difficult for your average consumer to fix themselves. But recently, in the course of a few purchasing consultations on Patreon, this question of the one-hand fold has come up in a pretty relevant and real way, given a specific set of life circumstances, and has even forced me to think outside the box a little bit, and even reevaluate some of the models that I discounted before for their mechanical attributes. So, if you're one of those parents or soon-to-be parents who considers a one-hand fold a necessity, or at least a highly valuable characteristic, then these are our top 5 picks on the current market. Note that these are not just one-hand fold models, but also one-hand carry models, as this seems to be an integral part of the lifestyle that would warrant the need for a one-hand fold in the first place. Also note that there are a lot of other models on the market that also have a one-hand fold, but that the majority of these accomplish this at the expense of a good deal more internal complexity, and are also for the most part models that are built in a generally weaker manner. The first model we're going to talk about today is my answer to those of you looking for the smallest and lightest one-hand fold option that will also tolerate regular daily use, the UPPAbaby Minu. The Minu is marketed as an ultra-compact travel stroller, but is a bit heavier and better built than the rest of the ultra-compact market. It has great suspension for its size, though I still wouldn't recommend it for use outside of smooth urban conditions. As with all of the models in this video, there are a few things to take into consideration before purchasing, and with the Minu, the main disadvantage is age span. The Minu will be ideal for children from around 6 to 8 months to around 3 years old. You can attach a carry cot or car seat to the model for your newborn months, though I personally find this to be a less than ideal setup unless you don't plan on being out with your stroller a lot during this period, as the small nature of the model as well as the low positioning of the bassinet can get a little sketchy, especially if you're negotiating busy streets and such. In addition to this, the seat of the Minu doesn't have a full recline or a leg rest, so while it works fine for a quick nap, it may be a little unsuitable for regular all-day outings. The Minu will be great for you if you're looking for an extra small, one-handed fold model with the least amount of hassle for limited daily use. By that I mean you need a stroller more for transportation or quick trips out than as an all-day base of operations. It is also the cheapest model that we will be covering today as well. Despite not being that happy with the spring in our review, in relation to the rest of the market generally, it turns out that the model actually has a place when we're looking at it purely in comparison to other one-hand fold models. The positives with the spring are that it is very light and small in its fold, yet has strong driving characteristics, large wheels for its size and good suspension, and it also sports a spacious and accessible shopping basket. The negatives, which we elaborate more on in the spring standalone review, are a forward-facing only seat that is somewhat limited in the size of the child it will accommodate, again up to around 3 years old like the Minu, as well as a series of somewhat unfortunate engineering decisions, which will likely impact the longevity of the stroller, if you don't handle it a little more carefully than its driving capabilities might suggest. Note though that the potential for wear is mitigated somewhat if you plan to use it in a smoother urban setting. The spring will work well for those of you who need something a little more terrain capable in a one-hand fold model than the Minu, or at least that will be a bit better at negotiating bumpier terrain like cobblestones and potholes and such, but who also need something that is on the smaller and lighter side with regards to folding and carrying. The Mios is really the only model from Cybex, or the rest of Goodbaby International's many brands for that matter, that we currently feel is worth buying based on its technical merits. The model is decently sturdy for its size class, easy to fold, light to carry, and most importantly, is the only one-hand fold model with a reversible seat that we would really recommend at the current time. It has decent suspension for a model of its size, but its small wheels mean that it should mainly be considered for smoother environments, though it can handle a bit of light terrain like cobblestones, gravel, and dirt roads if it's not on a regular basis. Age-wise, the Mios will best accommodate a child up to 3, maybe 3.5 years old, depending on the size of the child, with the primary limiting factor being the length and width of the leg rest. The main negative with the Mios is the price, which is really high for a model of its size, especially if you live in a cooler environment and need to fork out extra for the non-mesh seat fabrics. Since the Mios is the only reversible seat one-hand fold model sufficiently strong enough for its size and weight class for us to feel comfortable recommending, I would say that the reversible seat itself should be the primary reason for choosing this model, and then only if you live in a relatively smooth environment and are also willing to pay the high price for it. I'll be covering our last 2 recommendations for one-hand fold models, the Baby Jogger City Mini GT2 and the Baby Jogger City Elite 2, in the same section. And I'd just like to start off by saying that they are my favorite solution, mechanically speaking, for those of you who feel that having a one-hand fold is a must. Both of these models just bring a ton of value to the consumer, beyond the almost circumstantial fact that Baby Jogger's Eezy Fold system is a one-hand fold. So what does it mean to go with one of these models? The good is that it means terrain capability, a larger seat than you'll find on 4-wheeled models, a simple sturdy design, and a lighter and smaller fold in comparison to their unfolded size and capabilities than you'll find most other places. The two chief negatives are that they are forward-facing only, after your bassinet and car seat days are over at least, and that while the folded package is smaller and lighter in relation to comparably sized models on the larger market, they are actually both still a bit heavier than the other models we've introduced so far in this guide. That being said, in my opinion, they are still the best option here for drivability, mechanical longevity, and seat size. Either of these models will be ideal if you are looking for a one-hand fold model with sufficiently spacious seat to keep your child in comfort all the way through their stroller days. With both great suspension and large wheels, as well as their swivel front wheels, both the Elite 2 and the GT2 fit a wide variety of terrain conditions, whether you live in the city or the countryside, and both fold down sufficiently small to fit in the trunk of most cars. These models are nearly identical, with the GT2 being preferable for those who need a slightly smaller fold for space reasons, and also have less need to traverse really rough terrain on a regular basis. Price-wise, note that the GT2 is also about 25% cheaper than the Elite 2, and that if you're interested in either of these models but are a bit hesitant over the price tag, it might also be worth looking for the original versions of both models on discount or on the used market. Before concluding, I just wanted to reiterate what I mentioned in the introduction, that in most cases with the general market, there is a price to be paid for a one-hand fold in the inclusion of fragile, complicated internal mechanisms. So it's a good idea to really think through why you feel a one-hand fold is important to you before making it a prerequisite for whatever you choose to purchase. If you do decide, then, that a one-hand fold is a must, these are the models that we feel you're most likely to get the most out of at the current time. In any case, we hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, we ask that you subscribe, as it helps to continue making videos in the future. Thank you.